The wind howled through the wide Kansas plains, carrying with it the scent of rain and something else, something wild. 10-year-old Lila Whitaker pulled her boots on and bounded out of her family's farmhouse, her red braid bouncing behind her as she raced into the early morning light. It was supposed to be just another ordinary chore day, feeding chickens and checking fences. But when she reached the back pasture near the old barn, she stopped dead in her tracks. There, huddled in a corner beneath the broken roof, were three small, shaking figures. At first glance, they looked like stray dogs, mud-caked, trembling, and scared. But as Lila crept closer, heart pounding, she realized something was off. Their eyes piercing, golden, almost too wise, and their limbs, long and lean with coats that shimmered faintly even under the cloudy sky. These weren't just dogs. They were something else entirely. She knelt down slowly, whispering gently, and one of the creatures stepped forward. It was the smallest of the three, its ribs visible through its fur, but its tail wagged timidly. Lila held out her hand, and the pup, if you could still call it that, touched her palm with its cold nose. In that moment, something unexplainable passed between them. A spark. A feeling. Not fear, but connection. She named them Scout, Luna, and Blaze. Her parents weren't thrilled when she brought them home. Her father, a hard-working man worn down by the failing farm, saw only the trouble three strays would bring. "We can barely feed ourselves, Lila," he sighed. But her mother, noticing the rare fire in her daughter's eyes, said they could stay, just for a while. Lila worked harder than ever. She woke at sunrise, shared her meals, and used her saved-up allowance to buy pet food. Over the weeks, the trio of animals began to recover. They were strong, faster than any dogs Lila had seen, and they seemed to understand her, not just commands, but feelings. When she was sad, they circled her protectively. When she laughed, they barked joyfully and ran in wild circles around her. But strange things began to happen. The animals never barked at night, yet the coyotes that had plagued the farm for years suddenly vanished. The chickens stopped disappearing. One evening, a neighbor's tractor stalled on the dirt road, and before Lila could run to help, Blaze had somehow nudged the man's tools over with shocking precision, almost like he understood exactly what the man needed. One afternoon, Lila took Scout into town for a vet checkup. The veterinarian, Dr. Kelly, froze the moment she saw the animal. Her face paled. "Where did you find this dog?" she asked carefully. "On our farm," Lila said proudly. "A few weeks ago." Dr. Kelly knelt down slowly. "Sweetheart, this isn't a dog." "Not exactly. These markings, this build. I think you found a wolf dog. Maybe part timber wolf. Maybe even something rarer." "But they're gentle," Lila insisted. "They listened to me. They saved our chickens." Dr. Kelly looked concerned. "That may be true, but they're wild at heart. You need to be very careful. They don't always stay tame." Back home, Lila couldn't shake the feeling that the vet was wrong, at least partly. There was something wild about Scout, Luna, and Blaze, but it wasn't dangerous. It was ancient. Sacred, even. One night, a fierce storm rolled over the plains. Lightning struck a dry patch in the north field, and a wildfire broke out, racing toward the barns. The wind was brutal. Her father tried to start the tractor, but it was too late, the fire was coming fast. That's when Lila saw them. Scout, Luna, and Blaze bolted across the pasture, howling not in fear, but in command. And from the woods behind the farm, shadows emerged. More figures. Wild wolves. Not dozens, but hundreds. They formed a wall between the fire and the barns, using their bodies to create a windbreak, stamping out embers with astonishing coordination. It was like watching a dance, a primal, ancient ritual, and at the center were Lila's three protectors, leading the charge. The fire was stopped that night. Not by water or fire trucks, but by a pack of wolves and a little girl who believed in something others couldn't see. The next morning, the entire town buzzed with the story. Eyewitnesses swore they saw wolves working together to halt the fire. No one could explain it. Some laughed it off. Others whispered about legends about guardian spirits that take animal form to protect sacred land. Lila never found the rest of the wolves again. They disappeared as quickly as they had come. But Scout, Luna, and Blaze stayed. And something changed in the town after that. People listened more closely. They looked out for one another. They paid attention to the land, the animals, the things they had once ignored. As for Lila, she grew up with those 3 companions at her side, each one more than just a pet, family, protectors, and perhaps something even greater. Years later, Lila would write a book about that night and everything that followed. She titled it, When the Wild Chose Me. And she often told children who came to her farm for field trips a simple truth. Sometimes, the world sends you what you need most when you least expect it. And sometimes, what looks like a stray, is actually a sign. Message. This story is about seeing beyond appearances, about kindness to all living beings, and about the deep bond that can form between humans and the wild. Sometimes, the ones we think need saving are actually the ones sent to save us. And in a world that often rushes past the small miracles, Lila's story reminds us to stop, look closer, and believe in the magic that still lingers just beyond the edges of what we understand.